Well, I think we are going to, now that we're in the small gallery, continue with Jacque Adams. This, as you may remember me mentioning early in our programming tonight, is really quite a special exhibit. It's our first collaboration with the Cobb Mountain Art and Ecology Project. So, Jacque, talk to us. You're so well acquainted with this work, your own work also being featured here. It's done to such a high degree and such a beautiful standard.
So for those of you who missed the beginning parts of this, I'm Jacque Adams. I'm the new operations coordinator at the MAC. And so I'm new to the area, but what brought me here is doing an artist in residence in Cobb Mountain. It's called Cobb Mountain Art and Ecology Project. It's put on by Scott Parody. So Michael, if you spin around and show us that very large piece in the corner, yep, that is Scott Parody, and he owns the property, and it was his dream to have a land that invited artists to make work and simultaneously work on the land, do land management, and help re-facilitate the land that he owns back to a more luscious space. And so it's kind of a dual residency where we're focusing on ceramics as well as land management. Mm-hmm. So that's Scott himself. He focuses mainly on wood-fired ceramics. And so we've joined with him as well to do that. But the collective as a whole there is 7 artists in residence and 1 studio manager. And so I think we're missing 1 resident out of this bunch, but it really showcases all of the ceramic artists that have come here from all different parts of the US to work together as a collective, be inspired from one another, and to learn from our communities. So we're really grateful to be a part of this show and to kind of help, for me, bridge that connection between artists and artists to showcase work. Mm-hmm. And what's really amazing about ceramics is the medium itself can be so many different things that the medium really defines itself within the piece from piece to piece. So it can be sculptural or functional. And so if you pan out and show us, the whole room, we can really get a nice collective of what is ceramics as a whole. And so we know it as a number of things because we are ceramic artists and we always hang out with each other, but it's really beautiful to see it done in a number of ways. So we've got functional pieces on the wall. We've got some sculptural pieces. We've got a big pot. We've got fermenting crocks.
Could we? Yeah, let's go in there, Michael. The back a little bit,
and mention that the photo on the wall is by Cliff Lloyd as well.
Yeah, Cliff Lloyd's work is lovely. Wonderful photographer, and it's actually the only photo in that space. And we will go back to look at it because look at the color next to the ceramics. I mean, it almost in its own right looks like an intense detail shot of a glaze.
It does look like glaze.
Isn't it interesting? And it's water, actually. But Cliff brought a number of pieces for us to see. It was very hard to choose because he has an incredibly unusual eye for capturing his images.
Specifically water.
Water, yeah. So going back, I'd love to just take a second, Jacque, to look at your beautiful fermenting pots.
Yes. So I've got 4 fermenting crocks there. And for me, my work really revolves around food and the table and how we can use food to heal our bodies and bring us together as a community. And so I think, part of that is what these dishes hold, and so it comes from the garden to the pot to the person, and so it's that middle bridge that connects people to the land. And so for me, I've just been focusing on things that really help elevate what we put into our bodies.
Michael, could you zoom in on that first one? Yeah, I don't know how much detail we can get in our virtual. but there is the most beautiful crackle glaze to this one. And then, of course, Jackie, you were mentioning how you use botanical found, foliage and things.
Yes. So I go on a lot of walks on the land, and coming from, I was just in grad school in Florida. So Florida is so lush and there's so much greenery. And then I, come here and it almost felt desolate in some way. But then as I walk, you notice these little things that are surviving and that are resilient. And so all of the pieces, all of the foliage that I picked and stamped into this pot for texture was, those resilient pieces that were still growing in this drought, and so I think it just kind of made it that much stronger to say, these things are still growing and it's still happening. It's just slow and it's coming back, and, we still have to help elevate it, but it's here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so beautifully rendered in a practical item. These are things that I'm sure, given the glaze and that high quality fire that you've got to its surface, I'd very, very proudly put that on my table and serve with it and share a meal with others. It's beautiful. And then the others, it's the texture of this whole series, the subtlety of the glaze that you really see where, in particular, Jackie, your beautiful and very learned technique is at work. So pretty. Just gorgeous forms.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And, really, again, I mean, to me, that resonates with home. It's the simple essentials of life: a place to sit, a place to sleep, a table to gather,
and a way to prepare it.
And yeah.
And really my intention is always to, how do you get someone to the dinner table? And with that, like, if you share a meal with someone, your connection with them is so much more intimate. And, it always is around food, so how do we make connections from person to person? Have a meal together.
Yeah.
So true.
It's maybe one of the things this year that we've kind of missed. Not that I haven't been or eating, having a good nosh, but we miss those larger tables, especially up here where, the kind of harvest table is so symbolic of where we live and how we live.
Let's have a look at some of the other people's work in the gallery.
The small dishes up top on the left are Elise Landreau. She is one of our artists who actually does not have a ceramic background, but she does have a land management degree. And so she's great for that side of our residency. So she's slowly learning, the ins and outs of ceramics. But this is a nice little collection of just little pinch pots for her to better understand the ways of how the kiln works, and different zones of the kiln and kind of different effects you can get from that.
And then below it, you and I were in the gallery, Jackie, was it yesterday, and talking about thieves and how the glaze achieved that effect. I was so intrigued because they look like beautiful eggs, or the surface of duck eggs or gorgeous eggs.
Yes.
Talk to me about that again.
So this artist is Anna Vaughn. She has, I think, she has two other pieces besides these three bowls, but the bowls themselves, you can see those little black specks, and that's actually the iron in the glaze, and the glaze is pulling that through for you to see during the firing. So really, it's just about the flame, the atmosphere in the kiln that really helps facilitate a lot of this work that's in this gallery.
Yeah, lovely, lovely representation of color.
Yeah.
And then these have such intricacy and layers. Did you say that there's decals in this? How do we get?
So this is Austin McKinney. The floral print you're seeing that's in black and white, that's called a paper decal. And so it's a transfer paper decal. So you can place it on your raw pot and put a little water on the back, and the print transfers over. Austin is from West Virginia, and so these are the functional pieces he has. There's some other sculptural pieces in the exhibition.
On the other side.
Yeah, and he is very inspired by geological rock formations, and so that really kind of comes out in a lot of his work. You can see the layering of different textures, of different colors. He often puts a color down and then scrapes it away to show something underneath. So it's very laborious in that regard. But really, he's inspired by geology and the land itself.
Michael, if you could turn to the other side of the room, that would be great, so we could see a little bit more of the work. Oh, there was one that we just passed, also by Austin, where you can see the decals and the pattern that he incorporated.
That one there.
Yeah.
The rabbit there is also Anavon, who made those small bowls. And I believe that already sold. It was a hot ticket that everyone is excited about when that one came through. Mm-hmm. You can see the watering can and the teapot in the middle, also Austin McKinney. On either side of those is Elise Landreau, who made those small little pinch pots, and she's much more inspired by biology, and so that really comes out in her work. And then the large pot there is Casey Burton. She is really responding to how is she's making in the moment, and so she often builds really, really big, and then maybe the pot collapses. And instead of saying, oh, I have to start over, she just responds to that and, puts another little wedge underneath it. And she's really just responding to how she's building in the moment. And she often does a lot with play. And then she has a painting kind of background. She's done a lot of painting. And so there is paint on this as well. And then she adorned it with some jewelry.
That is such a tactile piece to look at in person. There's so much happening on the surface, and it's sort of like Aladdin's cave got turned inside out. It's sort of.
I love how large it is, and so it has a large presence.
Yeah.
When you're in front of it, has this big, big belly that it almost seems like, how is it standing? That belly is so big, but it really works.
Michael, thank you so much, Jackie. You're a tremendous addition to our team. We're really, really grateful that you found us and we found you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. And back those orange pieces over there, the orange and blue pieces that we're looking at, those are by Melanie Leota. And I want to point out the rhythm and the pattern there. And I can't ever talk about Melanie without, I'm an educator too, without speaking to, like, if you think about what's happening with the pattern, it's basically math. It's a lot of math. And Melanie brought her mathematical passion to the classroom up on Cobb Mountain. And she was able to bring the math scores up to 9 out of 10 in the API, which is a statewide measure. And Cobb Mountain excelled in mathematics because of pottery and art and pattern. And that is really important to note, because the role that art can play in broadening children's intellectual capacities and problem solving, in addition to emotional intelligence, cannot be underestimated. And that's part of why we do what we do and why we are so grateful for you supporting what we do. So that work is by Melanie Leota, and she is a community star. She just really is.
She absolutely was. She was my teacher in 5th grade. And we made masks and mugs and plates, and we gifted them to our parents. And she taught us about the Fibonacci sequence at that age. It was really, she's an incredible educator. And so are you, Lisa Kaplan.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I get so much fulfillment from these gatherings. Virtually, even we have a great sense of community to share, and boy, this year perhaps more than ever before, we've really. I hope all of us have benefit from gathering in this way, and lending our time, our attention, our conversation to enriching another day of a long year, but remembering what lends importance and meaning, and
Richness.
a sense of home to all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to you for being here tonight with us. We're really grateful. If you'd like to help continue to support the arts in Lake County and MAC, please visit us at middletownartscenter.org. We're grateful to be, it's amazing that we've been able to sustain this place for 5.5 years through fires and through COVID. So thank you all for helping us to make that happen.